Hi, this is a quick response to Matt, Thou Art That, and your video on enlightenment and God, which was kind of a response to me and to the Amazing Atheist. I've got some notes here somewhere. Hold on a second. Yeah, I've got some notes about what you said, and then I just want to use your video as a jumping off point to return to the original idea that I was kicking around. Okay, some of the questions. Yeah, sorry, this is going to feel like nitpicking, I apologise, but there you go. I mean, some of the questions you ask that you say religion or God answers are questions like, why is there anything at all? You know, why is there something rather than nothing question? And I'll be honest with you, Matt, I think it's a bogus question. You know, I think we are capable of deriving questions which feel terribly important and significant to us, you know, because we are the signifying monkeys. But that doesn't mean to say that the questions really make any sense. And sorry, I just don't think the question, why is there anything at all, makes any sense. I know it produces that feeling of spaciness. You know, I know that it does. That there is the feeling of the sublime in the question, but I think that's an artifact of the question and our capacity for asking questions which have no answers. Okay, what else? Okay, you're talking about seeing God in order, in beauty, and in novelty. Yeah, I think I understand what you mean, but I'm having a problem distinguishing what you mean by that with what TJ is talking about, because he points to seeing a deity in the marvels of nature, and why don't we see the same deity in squalor and distress and suffering? I think you're just revisiting the same question. You know, order's nice, and beauty is nice, and novelty is nice, but I don't see God there, to be honest with you. I see evolutionary history there, an evolutionary history which produces our feelings, however pleasurable and sublime and interesting and enjoyable or not enjoyable they might be. I think that's the origins of those feelings, not any kind of deity. The one kind of connection I would have to that is I know that beauty and order. I mean, I know Murray Gell-Mann talks about that, and you talk about it as an epistemic presupposition, I think is the term you use, by which I mean that it's certainly the recognition of those things and the appreciation of order, for example, has been one of the cues and one of the catalysts for all kinds of development since, technological, scientific, rational, epistemological, of all kinds, philosophical. So I'm not disputing your claim that recognizing order or beauty or novelty is an epistemic presupposition, a cue for further study, which has yielded results, positive results for the most part, I would say. But I still don't see the deity at work. I don't see the hand of a deity at all. Sorry. The other point of contention I have is experience. You're saying atoms have experience, or you're generalizing experience out in the same way that I think elsewhere you've generalized concepts like consciousness out. I don't think atoms have experience. I mean, we may have to disagree on our terms here, but perhaps. Experiencing is where experiencing is a function of consciousness, which I don't see that originating anywhere else other than in a particular structure within a particular complex biological entity. I know yourself and some other people who I respect would regard consciousness as some kind of pan-specific. It's just something out there, and you seem to be doing the same thing with experience. But I don't think it is. I think experiencing requires a kind of doubling of what's out there that only consciousness can do. It requires the not only the being of a thing, but the seeing of the being of the thing, or the feeling of the being of the thing, or something. It requires that kind of doubling, which sentience begins and consciousness continues, and experience is evidence of. So those things really I mean, just to go back to my original point, I mean, your definitions of God are always interesting, but I don't share them at all. I am a naturalist, if that's the right word, or a scientific materialist, or something like that, and that's sufficient to me. I've all the wonder that I want to have from that. I don't really feel the need to gain any more from metaphysics, but my, the kinds of not explanations, but the kinds of accounts like the one I gave in that one, leading on Damasio to talk about brainstem. In a sense, it's just game playing. I recognise that I'm just playing with the concepts, but some of the other things that you say, and other things that TJ said, some of the things that Gary said, and the other comment people have said. I mean, to me, these about different candidates for what God might be. When I hear this stuff, I'm always kind of regret the fact that we are so wedded to monotheism. If we were more what's the opposite of monotheism? Polytheist. If we were more polytheistic, it might be less of a problem. Because certainly there is a role that authority plays within the God concept, and there is a role that compassion plays, and there is a role that creativity plays, and there is a role that tribalism plays, and all the rest of the stuff, all these different parts. But to me, they're not parts of a deity. They're not parts of certainly not part of a monotheistic deity. They are different components of what it means to be alive and awake. And the one I'm particularly interested in at the moment is the one that I indicated in that last video, which is this kind of core sentience that Damasio talks about. Anyway, thanks very much.